You're listening to the home of all things Lindenwood sports. It's the Lions Den on KCLC HD through the Tower and on the Roar Network YouTube channel.
How we doing, everybody? Welcome to the Lions Den on the Tower. It is Season 2. I'm Zoogie, joined by Jet and special guest Autumn Bax from the women's volleyball team, OVC Freshman of the Year last year and OVC Champion. Not trying to hype you up too much, but you do kind of deserve it. And Jet, this is a little bit different than how we did things last year with the show. What can the people expect at home?
Very much so. So last year, this was more of a sort of interview with the coaches, talk to some of the Lindenwood coaches around here, get a rundown of their teams and how they feel with their upcoming seasons. This year, we are focused on the OVC as a whole and Lindenwood sports most importantly. As we have Autumn here, we want to talk to some of the players, get their insights not only on them, but on their teams as well, and just overall make this more student-friendly. Not just for the coaches, but for the players. Because
this is student radio, and last year, while we did have some athletes on, it was mainly trying to talk to the coaches and really surface-level questions. Like, we couldn't go and, ask the athlete, personal, oh, what's your routine before a game? Because you do have the coach who has to sit there and listen to that and, not trying to waste time. But we have Autumn Bax on the show here today. And Autumn, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me.
All right,
of
we're
course.
going to get into our interview. We do this every week, so we're going to open up with about a 10, 15-minute interview, and then we'll move into the other sports. But Justin, you want to get us started here?
Yeah, so first question, when did you first start playing volleyball, and what drew you to playing that specific sport?
My family's a very athletic, competitive family, so me and my three brothers have always just played sports since our childhood. I played basketball and volleyball growing up, and then probably since I was about 8, 10, around there, I was playing both, and then I played both until my senior year, and I knew I liked volleyball more than basketball. Yeah. So I just made that final choice and picked volleyball to take it.
So you said you have 3 brothers. Where are you at in, the ages of everybody?
Yeah, I have 2 older brothers. My oldest brother's 24. I have another older brother. He's 22, I think. And then I also have a younger brother who's a senior in high school.
Okay, so you're in there. Everyone's around the same age group. So I bet there were some pretty competitive family games back in the day.
Yeah, my mom always said we had 4 so we could play 2-on-2 basketball.
Dude, I mean, I know it's been off topic, but Phillip Rivers, former quarterback for the Chargers?
Yeah.
I think he has 11 or 12 kids now.
Yeah, somewhere.
So he has enough to have his own football team now. And you guys can almost have a volleyball rotation. Just need 2 more.
I guess. Maybe that was the goal.
So you guys won the OVC last year, and you came in, freshman to the team. And, immediately you were automatically in that rotation. You were one of the top players. For you, what was the biggest difference between the high school and the college game, and how were you able to adapt so quickly?
Yeah, I think high school and college, the game just seemed much faster. Once you're in it, it feels faster, but it's easy to adjust to. And then I think club volleyball also played a big impact in making that transfer a little bit easier, because club volleyball seemed to be a little bit of a next level than high school. So I think that helped with the transition there.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I know those, high school sports are always very competitive, but those club ones, those are the big traveling teams, and they always kind of prep you for that next step. So that definitely makes a lot of sense, and
sure.
That's awesome. So played for a championship winning team in your first year, but a lot of them graduated last year too. So this is a very new look team. What kind of leadership role have you taken on, and how is the chemistry and the culture with the new players that you had coming in?
Yeah, we obviously lost 6, 7 seniors, so it was a big adjustment. I think in spring season we really focused on who's going to take that leadership role and what's it going to look like, since we had the opportunity to switch it to really whatever we wanted it to be. Mm-hmm. And I think me and Ashley Gluck and Amelia Throw have really taken on that leadership captain role. And I think just being willing to listen to everybody, since everyone is kind of at that same level, which we don't have a huge senior class like we did last year. So just listening to everyone's feedback and really listening to what everyone's saying.
You bring up that spring season. That's something a lot of people don't get to see. It's not something that's on ESPN Plus every day. And What does that spring season look like? Like, are the seniors still around and helping out with the team, and are the new recruits able to interact with you guys during that time?
No, we didn't have any seniors with us. The gym looked really empty, honestly. But we had a couple girls at beach, so we didn't see them either. And then none of our freshmen graduated. Blair graduated high school early, so she joined us in the spring, but our other 3 freshmen weren't there. So there was probably about 13, 14 of us there. And with so many new faces on the court, it was just really breaking things down and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, it seems like everyone's adapted even without being there for the spring season. I mean, you guys have started off the year pretty hot. First ever Power 4 win over Virginia Tech. And with all the new faces that you have on the squad and only being your guys' third match, where was the team's confidence level coming into that one and when you guys were down 2-0?
Yeah, that was honestly a really crazy game. It was really fun. Reverse sweeping a team is just not easy, and being willing to do that with such young talent is amazing. And I think really just we had nothing to lose at that point, so I think we all knew that. And we also knew that we wanted to prove something with losing so many seniors and so many new starting spots. We had a lot of young people that had something they wanted to prove, whether it was that we can still do it this year or that they have a spot they want to earn. Just things like that that I think really fired us up.
No, and I mean, that's awesome. And speaking of resiliency, how are you guys able to carry on that, never say die attitude from last year's team? And what are some of the biggest differences with this year's squad from, last year's championship team?
I think just the biggest difference is obviously those seniors leaving. They had a huge impact both on the court and their leadership, and they were there for 4 or 5 years, so I think that was a big difference, but we're just figuring it out slowly and surely for us.
Well, I got to talk to a lot of coaches last year, and the big thing that stuck out to me was with the women's soccer team and how they revamped their culture in the locker room and the way they went about their business. And it seems to be working, an OVC championship
Yes.
and, one of the top teams in the preseason. But for you guys as a program, I guess all the Lindenwood schools, we are Lindenwood Sports. We're a small school. Recruiting is hard. Keeping talent in is hard because we're small. And once people become successful, they want to go. But you're seeing talent returning, and you see that, you came back this year. What is so special about these Lindenwood Sports and your team in particular that makes you want to come back and compete every day?
Yeah, I think on our team we have a lot of small town girls or small town people that always grew up in a small town, and I kind of like when you grow up in a small town, you have that close-knit family type feeling, and I think Lindenwood really gives that to me especially, but just to everyone in general. Our team is just a very family-oriented, and we're there for each other, and when you have something like that, you don't really want to leave. The grass always isn't greener on the other side, and I think we realize that, and we're ready to stick it out together.
Oh, and that's awesome. And I think we're coming up on the last question, but this is more of a question for you to kind of personally answer. What can you tell us about, something about your sport that you wish more people understood?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Because we're not big volleyball guys. We're big football, the normal sports,
Yeah.
and I like volleyball. But sometimes I'm watching the game and I'm wondering why things are done a certain way or certain calls.
Yeah.
I think a big change just overall in volleyball has been going between that 6-2 and 5-1. Like with the 6-2, you've got 2 setters and they're not in the front row. And then you got 5-1 where you got your setter in the front row, and she's more of a offensive hitter-like player. And I think that's been just a big change that volleyball as a whole has taken, and Lindenwood has taken that the past couple of years as well. And having an offensive setter like that is just really a big threat. It makes everyone's job a little bit easier. So I think that's something that's fun, that's really changed in the last couple of years.
All right. And you guys are opening up your conference schedule here at the end of the month and had some great battles last year with a lot of really good teams. But is there a particular matchup that you guys have circled on that calendar?
I think it would be bad if I didn't say we were ready to play SEMO. They're always a very competitive team. They have lots of returners. And for some reason, our chemistry and we just don't really like each other. So I think SEMO is my answer there.
Well, Lindenwood kind of, when we moved up and into this conference, SEMO was the other Missouri school. So sometimes it felt a little forced at times, but with you guys, is there any blood there, bad blood?
Not necessarily. Our graduate assistant type coach last year was from SEMO, and she actually just moved back to SEMO, so we'll see her this year. So maybe that'll fire us up a little bit, but I don't think there's too much bad blood.
All right, well, last question that we have for you today is, on a normal game day, what is your routine and what is the team's routine?
Honestly, I don't really do anything too special. I get good breakfast, good lunch, depending on when the time of the game is. Listen to some music, jam out with the team, and then really just serve and pass and really lock in for the game. Nothing too special.
Are you guys eating at Evans primarily?
No.
No.
We do some days, but not primarily.
Well, then what's your go-to?
Grilled nuggets.
Okay,
maybe a fruit
yeah.
cup if I'm feeling good.
Dude, people are sleeping on Evans, man.
I do think it's gotten better. I will give it to him.
Like, the other day, I came in there, got some brisket, they had some ribs, and I'm like, I don't normally trust barbecue from a cafeteria, but they've actually been really knocking my socks off the last few times I've been in there.
They have stepped it up.
Well, thank you so much for your time here today. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, good luck with the rest of the season.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you to Athletics for making this happen.
Thank you guys.
Very excited to see how, just how dominant you guys keep that run going.
All right.
It's time to go inside the Lions Den and break down every current Lindenwood sports team.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, well, as everybody heads out here in the studio, we're going to move on to our next segment where we go into the Lions Den, which is a section where we get to kind of recap all of the Lindenwood sports going on right now and kind of just break down how their season's going. And we're going to start off today with women's soccer. And they've been interesting this year. They won the championship last year for the OVC, and it was an incredible final game in that championship. Down 2 goals. I'm watching it at home thinking, man, it just doesn't look like us today. And they come out, score 3 goals in the second half, and take home a title. This year, it's kind of the opposite of that game. We came out 3-0, and since then, 0-2-2.
Yeah.
So the big thing that I'm noticing right now with the women's soccer team is we have talent, a lot of returners, a great team, and I love the head coach. I got to talk to him a lot last year. Dave Musso, great guy, promised wins in the playoffs on the show, said we're going to win. You don't hear that a lot. You hear a lot of coach speak, especially at the college level of, we're going to go out there, give it the good old college try and, try to execute our game plan. And he was promising victories. So they're a confident team, have a lot of returners, but just not able to put a lot of wins on the board over the last few games.
And, it looks a little rough, but, calm before the storm, as it were.
Love that.
It's, it may look a little bleak, but you really can't count them out. They've been absolutely phenomenal whenever they play. And like you said, they started off 3-0, and while they may have went 2-2, it's not complete losses. They're still technically winning on the season. They are still showing that they are the team to beat, and they will continue to be the team to beat going forward. Maybe it is, slow down, go back to the basics, try and get back to how you were at the beginning of the season in form and see if that formula works again. But I don't think there is really any need to worry about this women's soccer team.
No, they have good leadership, and I understand that the team was really young, and they did lose like a few players last year, but primarily returning a lot of the roster. But I believe what's happening right now, and I get to watch all the games. So this is coming like a straight-up opinion. I've been doing all the home games for ESPN Plus with Main Media. The team in their last few have been really aggressive, trying to move up the field probably too quickly. They're not settling it down. And when you have opportunities where, man, the other team's been in our end for a long time, the team needs to start settling down a bit and getting back to holding on to possession and setting up quality opportunities. Because they've had a lot of shots, but not a lot of ones that have scared me. They're shots from outside the box that the goalie isn't having to leave their feet for, just throw their hands up, knock it down. And one of the big keys to Lindenwood over the the problems they've had over the last few games is the lack of offense.
Yeah.
Well, when your star player has 0 goals on the season and has 15 shots, so Mackenzie Compton's still getting opportunities, it's tough to win games when one of your best players from a year ago, who was the MVP of the OVC tournament and the OVC Freshman of the Year, they need her to get going and start finding the back of the net. And I believe the first game that she finds the back of the net, you're going to see things change like a flip of a switch for this team on offense.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, this is all before conference play even, comes around. And maybe that's a good thing. It kind of humbles the team a little bit, gets them in that sort of hardcore competitive mind space going into conference play, which will be back home here September 21st against SEMO. And I'll tell you, I've had a couple buddies who've graduated from SEMO, and I'm very excited to watch that game because now being at Lindenwood, I am definitely looking forward to, talking trash to them all about this. I'm willing to be a part of that rivalry.
I love it. And honestly, this women's soccer team is entertaining. All the games that we've had so far, I've been into it, and I've been working camera in there. And, you can feel like everybody is bought in on our broadcast team, but we need the school to be bought in. We need people to start showing up to these events because this team deserves it. And it makes us look good on the broadcast when we can go to the crowd and actually have crowd shots and people celebrating. Yeah. That makes the school look really good, and these players deserve it. They put so much effort in. So be sure to be there on September 21st against SEMO. We got to have more fans than they do.
Oh, yeah.
That might be a challenge if we don't start changing things. And I know that there's people at this school that have some free time. Take off drinking for one night and just come on over, watch some women's soccer. They are worth your time. And another team that is currently worth your time is the men's soccer team. Look, they came into this year off of a great season, and expectations were high. And they're blowing them out of the water so far.
I mean, absolutely phenomenal. 3rd in the preseason poll, and yet now they're 5-0. Like, they are 5-0. And, one of our reporter friends, Brendan Burns, he follows that team religiously, very much so. And it does help me keep up to track with them. And, man, they look, dare I say, they look very tournament ready. Already, and it is very early in the season. Like, they look like they could take the whole thing with the way that they are playing right now. It is methodical. And I cannot say enough praise about this Lindenwood team, this men's soccer team. They are exceeding every expectation that was put on them at the beginning of the season.
Because you mentioned they're 5-0. Mm-hmm. They're not just kind of 5-0. They've outscored their opponents 18-2.
Yeah.
That is every game that we've been watching. It has been a dominant show of force, and what I really like about this team is they are playing the right way. Everyone knows what they're supposed to do. Everyone's spaced out properly and in their position, and they are controlling possession. That is huge. That spells confidence. That tells me that every player on that team knows what their role is and knows what they're supposed to be doing, and a lot of credit to Chris Birch, who is the head coach of that team, because not only are they winning games, he found an opportunity the other day to get the backup goalie, and he's been subbing a lot of guys up into the games when we've been up big so that he's keeping legs fresh for the conference schedule. And, I mean, like you said, there's not enough nice things you can say about the start to this season. We just got to hope that they keep doing it, and they got themselves a game tonight, a game that they should probably win. We'll see what that looks like. It's going to be coming on, I believe, crew calls at 5, so 7 o'clock. We're going live against Westminster College, a team that we have historically fared well against.
And, again, 18-2, you can't really ignore that stat line. That's not like a little, it's something, it's there. No, that is, like, almost unheard of, especially with being this early in the season. I get non-conference play, but even so, that is just way too impressive to ignore. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm probably going to tune into that game and see how our Lions perform.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could be on cam tonight to put the camera on you, but I also don't want to be on cam because I like sitting back in the studio and just TDing and running replay. So I'm hoping I get that, especially with my wrist. I don't want to be up there with the camera the whole time. I have a wrist injury right now, and I just want to sit back and do my job in climate-controlled space where I can sit down the whole game. But we're going to switch gears here and move on to the football team. There was a lot of news around the team this week. Had a play from that game ending up on SportsCenter Top 10, and they were playing against an FBS opponent, so a game that Lindenwood was not expected to be competitive in, but yet only 20-13 versus App State.
I mean, one score. That is one score. You look at some of these other FBS schools that have picked FCS teams, and they're like, oh well, we're just doing it because we're doing it. Be nice to the little schools. Lindenwood put up a fight. Lindenwood said, no. We are here for the long haul, and we are going to show you that we belong here. And while we may not have walked away with the win, we walked away with a statement saying, hey, we are Lindenwood, and we are here. First year tournament eligibility, they said, hey, look, we can hang with those top teams. So I understand we are 0-2. I am very optimistic with how this team is playing, because that is not, it's obviously not the result they may have hoped for, but it is still a positive result nonetheless.
I mean, this is a team that last year took down SEMO when they were ranked in the top 10 in the country. This, it's football. There's going to be a lot of roster turnover, and you lose your number one wide receiver. You lose a guy to the NFL, which was huge.
Oh, that's awesome.
One of your linemen. So this game just makes me really confused when you look at the St. Thomas game. That game was a game that, coming into it, I was like, Lindenwood's probably going to start 1-0 on the season, and they got punched in the mouth. It was a great answer back on the second game against App State, but the big concern for me with this team right now is the run defense. We've already given up 500 yards on the season, and that is something they're going to have to clean up. There are a lot of teams that like to run the rock in this conference, and at the lower levels of football and FCS, there's not a lot of great quarterback play. There's going to be a lot of short passes and stuff on the ground, and we need our linebackers and defensive backs to make sure that, it's only going to be 4 or 5 yards on these short passes, and that we can hold them to less than 4 yards per carry.
Yeah.
So going to have to shore that up a bit, but Nate Glantz this year is the key.
Oh, yeah.
For this team.
Look, it's still early. We've still got a big chunk of the season left on the back end. This is not a absolutely dire straits, we should start freaking out. This is, okay, we're down a little bit right now. However, take this, move on, and improve. And, we don't know exactly how the roster shakes out. There could be injuries. There could be, just they're trying to figure out who they want. And that what better time to do that than at the beginning of the season?
And I agree with you on that wholeheartedly. And what I was going to say about Nate Glantz is he's had games where I've been really impressed, in other games where he shows that he's still a little bit raw. And, he's starting to get towards the end of his college career, and I want to start seeing that progression. Because I know he has the talent. We all know he has the talent, has the great arm strength, and, we'll play the clip earlier from that outstanding throw, end of the game, 4th down. Gotta have it.
I've seen that clip, and it is just, oh, man. That clip is awesome.
And it's tantalizing. You can feel that was an elite throw in an elite spot. But 58% of his passes are being completed. Want to get that into the 60s, need to be a bit more efficient. Because this team is not one that, in my mind, can go play like an air raid style offense. So we need to be a little bit more efficient there, and then just minimize the turnovers and trust your line, because you can't be running into sacks. That is something that we've struggled with over the last few years, and even when we've had decent lines like last year, there's that there's a little bit of shakiness in the confidence and saying, I don't know if I'm going to have a clean pocket here. I might have to scramble. So that's just stuff you learn as a quarterback. I'm not saying I can go out there and do any better. Definitely not.
No.
I don't have a single athletic throwing bone in my right arm, other than underhand. I was a bowler. I redshirted this year, but I just need to see some more consistency there. But what I do like is he's spreading the ball out.
Yeah.
I mean, Drew Krobath, Rico Bond, and tight end Darren Fuggett, they all look really good to start the year. They're getting open, they're doing the right things, and their quarterback's finding them. And I fully expect when this team gets into conference play that there's going to be an upset this year, that we're going to upset one of those top teams. I get it, we came in fourth in the preseason poll, but we that follow the team know where we are, and I don't know if that's 100% accurate.
No,
but
and
yeah.
Again, I think it's just a little bit of early season blues. I think it's just a little bit of that early season rut. I don't think this is a sign of things to come later into the season. I think this is a good starting point to show the growth that's going to happen throughout the season. And you know, there's issues through every single team within the OVC. That's not exclusive to just Lindenwood, but yeah, maybe I'm a little biased, but I definitely think this team has what it takes to make a deep run within this season.
Well, I have to agree with you. I think we do. I mean, it's hard to fill holes in your roster at the FCS level at the bottom. You're always going to have things you're struggling with. Recruiting is hard when you're a small school, and I think Jed Stugart's done a great job with the program over the last few years.
Oh, yeah.
Putting the right pieces in place and started to get the identity of this team to where he wants it.
Oh, I mean, I follow the football account, I follow the head coach and their director all on Twitter, and all summer my phone was blowing up with, hashtag welcome to the wood. They were working in the off season, and that's part of the reason why I'm very optimistic about this team, is that they have a front office and a head coach that cares about this team, and I'm excited to see where that leads us.
All right, well, our last sport that we're going to cover before we very quickly run through the OVC, because we are running out of time, and I do got to get to work after this.
This is true.
So, women's volleyball. They're 4-2 to start the year, picked second in the preseason poll, only behind SEMO, and we talked to Autumn Backs at the beginning of the show. A lot of players gone and a lot of players in. And the new guys already look great. Megan Donahue named OVC Freshman of the Week last week. And I believe that Will Condon has this program in a really good spot right now. And I'm excited to watch some women's volleyball this year. But we are going to now move into the OVC wrap-up. And I got to actually play the soundbite for that.
It's time for the latest standings and updates from around the OVC.
All right, well, Justin, I'm going to let you start us off here with Around the OVC. What do you got?
So we're going to go a little rapid fire with this, but for the OVC conference rundown, let's look at women's soccer real quick. Lindenwood is on top of the conference with a 3-2-2 record, making it the only winning record right now within the conference. Looking back at the preseason poll, though, Tennessee Tech, who was projected to be the number one going into the season, is sitting at 5-3 currently. Their biggest struggle being their offense, with their first goal of the season not coming till their fifth game of the year against ETSU, which ended in a 1-1 tie. So, Lindenwood on top there. Moving to men's soccer, though, we talked about that a little earlier, but just like their female counterparts, Lindenwood men's soccer is at the top of the OVC with a current undefeated record of 5-0. Looking at the preseason poll for them as well, SIUE was projected to be on top with a whopping 98 votes across the conference. However, SIUE now sits at a 1-3 record, with their most recent loss coming from another local STL team in the Billikens with the bronze boot match. So that's really cool to see. Going into football now, Tennessee Tech is leading the OVC currently with a record of 2-0 going into their Week 3 matchup against Davidson. They really showed off their dominance in Week 1 against Cumberland with a score of 65-0. Just a complete shutout. They continued that powerhouse run in Week 2 with a 45-17 win over Chattanooga. On to our last one, women's volleyball. Eastern Illinois is sitting at the top of the conference for now, currently with an impressive 5-0 record to start the season. Looking at the preseason poll for the season, though, Eastern Illinois was actually placed at number 2, so they were projected to be one of the top teams overall. However, Lindenwood was projected to be number 5. Lindenwood is now at number 2, so that's why I'm saying Eastern Illinois, your days are numbered for women's volleyball. We're right there. We got you.
That's tough to rank, though. Like, when you look at our team and all the talent that we lost, there's no saying how good we're going to be. So that put the voters in a really tough spot.
It did.
I actually, one of my bosses at work back home, used to be the head coach of Eastern Illinois' volleyball team. So got to watch what you say on the show. I don't want her firing me when I come back. But
Look, I'm a Lindenwood student. I'm from the St. Charles area. I'm loyal to Lindenwood. Lindenwood is coming for Eastern Illinois. I know they are.
I believe you on that one. But we're going to move into our last segment, which is the 3 stars of the week.
It's time for the 3 stars of the week.
Sound bites.
Yes, that was the Happy Wheels victory theme. And, I mean, we're going to start off here with our 3 stars of the week with a sport that most people on campus are not super familiar with. Look, I am a longtime bowler. I bowled on this team, on the Lindenwood men's team for the last 3 years. And this may sound biased that I'm going to talk about one of our players, but I believe that he truly earned it. For those of you who do not know, which is most people, Luke Batchelor of the men's varsity bowling team shot 300 on day 5 of tryouts. So perfect game. That's 12 strikes in a row right there on one of the toughest patterns that we bowl on. And for those of you who are bowling nerds, it was the Hoosier 2012 U.S. Open pattern. I'm stumbling over my words. Excuse me. Hoosier 2012 U.S. Open pattern. So that is completely flat. You got to basically bowl perfect on that, and Luke Batchelor did it. Perfect game. He wins tryouts this year. And shout out to that guy. I remember my freshman year, he was on JV2 with me, riding the bench a bit, and look forward to his senior year. He's one of the top dogs on the team, and I expect big things from him this year.
Man, I know I'd be lucky if I bowled 1 strike in a full panel, let alone 12. Kudos to that dude. Going on to our second star of the week, however, we are going to turn our attention to the men's soccer team with Leandro Hasler. He's a defender for the Lindenwood's men's soccer. OVC announced Tuesday he was the defender of the week for his performances against both Evansville and St. Thomas. On Thursday's game, he played the full 90 minutes and only allowed 3 shots on goal, with scoring his own in the 59th minute to give the Lions the win on that game. He also then would continue to play 82 minutes on Sunday's game, so almost playing 2 full games back-to-back. On Sunday's game, where he added an assist to the stats on the game-winning goal in that game as well. So, Mr. Leandro, kudos to you. That is a phenomenal performance, and I cannot wait to see more down the stretch of the season.
Get to see him again tonight.
I'm excited.
But this is going to be a sub game. I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of the bench guys in on this one,
Probably.
trying to get some people, because Westminster, I believe, is D3, D2.
Okay.
One of those, I think they're D3. So this is a game where the team is just looking to tune things up before their next matchup. Now, for our number 1 star of the week, we just got to play it. It is an ESPN SportsCenter Top 10 Play of the Week. And not only just this play, he also had a great game, but we got to play it here.
You can't get much better.
Here is the audio.
Ball was on the near side hash. Blant sends Smith in motion. A straight drop back. He's got time. Now he's flush. Flags fly. He's all the way back at midfield. Looking to go somewhere with it. He heaves it into the end zone. And
can Rico get it?
It's caught! Touchdown, Lincolnwood! Pending the flag. It's on the...
So that was Rico Bond with a miracle play for the Lindenwood Lions this week. He's a freshman out of East St. Louis, and he looks great so far in that game. 7 receptions, 102 yards, and a tutty on a play that had no business ending up in a touchdown.
None.
Big props to that man, and enjoy your glory on ESPN. I know the family's going to have that one saved and play it every Thanksgiving for the rest of his life.
That clip will forever be in a highlight reel, and deservedly so, because, I mean, we played the audio here, but if you go ahead and look at that clip yourself, you'll realize just how just miracle that catch was. It was gorgeous. And yeah, Rico, very deserving of the number 1 spot this week. That's just awesome.
Well, that is going to be it for the Lions Den episode 1. I know we're going to try to really work on things for next week and get the show to exactly where we want it to be. But if you want to see a more polished show that is starring myself and Jet, well, check out Zoogie Zone on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Look, it's a sports show. We talk about all the big stories during the week. It is the best place to go for that type of stuff if you want to hear two students that you may not know give opinions on stuff you might not care about. But hey, it's a fun show. And
it's there.
Yeah, and it's polished. We got full graphics, full video, full everything, and hopefully we can get there with the Lions then eventually. But
we got this year. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We got this.
I am a senior, so we gotta
This is true.
start working on it, get things nailed down here. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, and peace out.
Thank you for listening to The Lions Den. We're on air every Tuesday at 6 p.m. right here on the Tower, and all recordings are on the Roar Network YouTube channel. Have a great rest of your evening, and go Lions!